Welcome everyone to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time.
None of that affects how you are going to change the world.
That's right.
No, it does not take one person to change the world, but it takes one person to believe in themselves.
Yes.
That they can make a difference.
I love
to
that.
Inspire others.
And that's why, for me, I try to make it my purpose now to try to help other people realize their self-worth.
Yeah.
Because it's so sad that so many of us, we get destroyed based off of what other people have to say.
Yeah.
I would say do it in your own way. Make sure you're doing it on your own accord and take a risk.
Go out there and live your life passionately. Believe in everything that you're doing and believe in the fact that you will accomplish every single goal. Everyone to Your Our Unity, a show that wishes to spread a spirit of peace and love in the world, one conversation at a time. We want to encourage you to view the world through the eye of truth, seeing beyond the surface to truly understand and empathize with the lives and struggles of those around us. I am your host, LaShawn Walker. I'd like to welcome you in. Please like, share, and follow. Let everyone know that we're on right now. How are you, my beautiful people? I hope that you are enjoying the rest of the summer because it is fastly moving on, my friends. I am trying to catch on to every little bit of sun that we have. I am so glad that the heat has kind of died down a little bit and we feeling a little cool breeze outside. It's feeling really, really special in the atmosphere. And I hope that you guys are out there enjoying every single moment that we have left of summer 2024. Please tell me what you've been doing for the last week since I saw you. We shared with you youth community last week, the beautiful young ladies who are contributing to their community, making sure that they're uplifting and empowering those around them. So I hope that you took the time to do that, my friends, because soon we're going to be in September and it's all about uplifting and empowering those kids while they're in school, and plus us, you know, getting to the darkness that the days are going to get a little shorter. So I hope that you're out there doing something productive. I will say the last couple of days before Monday, the weekend, I was catching up on the Olympics. What about you? Was you watching all of the amazing athletes that are in this world competing for that prize, the gold, the bronze, the silver? Well, that's what I was doing. I kind of chilled out a little this weekend and Thursday and Friday evening and catching up on all the events that was going on. I was so happy to see how us Americans actually did so well and were winning so much gold in all of those categories. I was mostly interested in the artistic swimming and the gymnastics. Our Simon Biles, oh my God, that girl is amazing. And I also was very interested in the fact that they held their first break dancing competition in the Olympics. It was fascinating because I am from that time, you know, I grew up in that era. Breakdancing was alive, hip hop was coming out, and it was literally the tapestry of my life. And so I was so happy that they actually had breakdancing in the Olympic competition. And I watched it, every last round of it. I was a little confused on how they judged, I'm not gonna lie, because there was a couple of them and I felt shoulda, woulda, and coulda won. However, they didn't, they were eliminated. But I am so happy for the young men that actually did move forward and were able to clinch the gold, the bronze, and the silver. One of them actually was from the USA. Sir Victor, I'm gonna call him. He's from Florida. I was shocked because, you know, I was thinking someone from the Boogie Down Bronx was gonna be able to come home with the crown, but Victor did a really great job. And so I'm so happy that he was honored with the bronze medal. So that kind of brings me into my next story, which is about what I did this weekend. So this week in Unity in the Community, LaShawn Walker hung out in the Boogie Down Bronx. I was with my friend, my brother, my homeboy from another mother who I call Big Dog. He came in from Illinois this weekend so he could celebrate Edenwald Day. Edenwald is where he grew up. It is also somewhere I used to hang out back in the day. I'm a girl from Queens. I'm a Queens queen. But I was fascinated with hanging out in different locations throughout the city. So Edenwald Day is a community in the Northeast Bronx where present and past residents come together once a year to celebrate life, love, and community. This celebrations has been going on for over 50 years, and it all started when Steve Shepard returned from playing basketball in the 1972 Olympics for the United States team. Steve Shepard is an American former basketball player from the Bronx who was nicknamed Bear. He is 6'6". It was a 6'6" forward from the University of Maryland. Shepard participated on the United States national basketball team, which won a gold medal at the 1976 Summer Olympics. Shepard was then selected by the Chicago Bulls, and he went on to play for the NBA for 2 seasons with the Bulls and the Detroit Pistons. So my road dog, Tracy, went to hang out with Big Dog, my friend Harry, and we enjoyed Edenwald Day, and I'm going to tell you it was amazing to see the people that come back every year to just celebrate their community, to catch up with one another. There's people that are still living there that's been there for over 50, 60, 70 years. It was just a day of coming together, and I enjoyed every second of it. I'm going to tell you something. I also noticed that you could tell the difference from the ones who actually moved away and sort of found a different path versus the ones that have stayed there and lived there for the last 50, 60, 70 years. It actually showed on their faces. But I know that they all desired the same thing. They wanted their families to be cared for. They wanted to have security within their community. They wanted to be empowered. They spoke so passionately about the changes that Edenwald has gone throughout the years. They spoke so in-depthly about the many OGs that have still remained there, those who have been able to make it big in entertainment and business, as well as those who are still struggling and still looking to find their way. What I most enjoyed about it was a community coming together to share their stories, to talk about what's been going on in their lives in the last year and before that, the previous years, but also for them to love on each other. My friend Harry is, he's an artist in his own right. He's a very well-known DJ. He's a vet, an Army vet. He's now in this stage of his life where he's documenting stories of people in the music industry. He has his own show called DJ Interview where he takes the time to interview the DJs that were, supplying the music for all these rap artists, all these entertainers that we give a little bit more love and light to. And he was also that day documenting the stories and the history of Edenwald. And I was so honored to be there with him and also to be a part of that story that I'm sure he will be sharing and telling very soon. So, as you know, I'm all about community and uplifting and empowering those around us, telling stories of those people that just need to be heard, that need to share what's on their hearts, on their minds, the struggles, the challenges, the triumphs, all of those things that we may see every day in our lives, but we're not really paying a keen eye to. So that's what I want to share with you today, how important it is for us to see the eye of truth, for us to realize that everyone is going through something and we can't just look at them and obviously assume anything. We have to look at them and allow them to tell their stories. So we're going to share a young lady with you today who, through the eyes of a lens, tells the story of so many. Those that she photographs, she actually has a connection with them through their plights, through their history, through their struggles, and through what they're conveying to her through that lens. So I want to share with you today's title of the show, which is The Eye of Truth. And we're going to be speaking with the beautiful Julie Flores. Julie was born and raised in Long Island, New York, and graduated from Columbia College Hollywood with a BA in filmmaking, focusing on editing. She has been interested in photography since high school, where she started with a 35 millimeter black and white film. After high school, Julie continued studying photography in community college before attending film school. Julie is a self-taught photographer, though she continues to take classes believing that the best way to improve is by constantly shooting and taking pictures. She enjoys working with film and instant photography, appreciating the beauty of films, especially its colors, and the element of surprise when she receives the scans. Julie's work has been published in 6 different magazines, and in 2022, she went on a border tour that profoundly impacted her and clarified the kind of photography she actually wanted to be or do. Upon returning home and reviewing her pictures, she knew she had to share her experience, leading to the release of her first photo book, La Murella, in August 2023. Julie has also released her first A Zine for a Cause, Unemployment Bridge Program, in July 2024, capturing the last 2 years of Lobby Day, an event for the Unemployment Bridge Program, which provides unemployment compensation to workers excluded from regular unemployment insurance due to their immigration status or the kind of work they do. Julie is passionate about telling real stories of real people and believes in capturing the truth of one's life struggles through the eye of the lens. Julie's work aims to evoke compassion and understanding in her audience, emphasizing the importance of seeing and acknowledging the humanity in everyone. So please help me welcome the beautiful Julie Flores. How are you?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing so well after that long, beautiful bio of yours. Oh
Yes.
my God. I think it's amazing what you do. I really, really do. And the way that you capture the essence of people. I want to tell you guys, I actually became aware or familiar with you years ago. You actually was the photographer for my first prom dress event that I had.
Yes.
I think it was in 2022, right?
I
It was
think so.
2022, yes.
Yes.
And yes, you and your mom came down. You captured some amazing pictures. I am
you.
so happy that you were there to do so. So thank you so much. But yes, even then I could tell that this was not just a job for you. This was a labor of love. Am I right?
Yes, yes. And going to that event, because Diane invited us, was really beautiful to see all these young girls. I didn't realize how there is a bunch of young girls who don't have the opportunity to buy a dress because of the family financial situation. But watching these girls put on the dresses, find their jewelry in the dress, it really has made my heart burst, because I was just like, you forget that.
Yeah.
You know, there are girls that don't have the financial, because of their parents' financial situation, and to be able to give them the opportunity to wear a dress that they really want and be able to enjoy that night, because it's a big night for us. So it was a pleasure and an honor to see those girls just wear the dresses, and it's also great because all the stuff was donated, so it was being reused, because usually time you buy a dress and you only wear it once, and in society, you know, a prom dress costs a ton of money, and so I'm happy that it was reused and new memories put in that dress.
Yes, and I love that you said that, because honestly, I was just looking for a photographer, just someone to take pictures so that we can honestly just, you know, show the moment, you know, and share the moment with the people that attended.
Yes.
But I love that you were able to pull so much more out of that, you know, and the
Yeah.
photos actually represented that. So I'm so glad that you were able to be there. So again, you are here to talk about the eye of truth.
Yes.
The eye of truth is what you see when you do your job, when you're at these amazing events that are speaking to people in need, that are speaking to people that, you know, are going through something, that are speaking about people that need to be heard. And so I want you to tell us a little about, you know, what you're doing now, and how you came to this place.
Well, I think I came to this place when I went to the border, as you said, and I was able to go there for a day and see these families being in shelters and living in tents and being able to photograph them, and the children were so happy just to have the cameras. They were so excited when I was giving them the cameras, and to bring them a little joy, because even though they're children, they understand it, but not fully. So it was really that gave me, I was like, once I saw the pictures, I was like, I need to share these pictures. And I was at the point, I still am today, that I'm tired of the political using people as pawns. These people are not pawns. They have lives, and I want people to see them as human beings.
Yes.
That's the biggest reason I did it, because they are human beings. They're leaving their countries for multiple reasons. And I hate that people say, like, they're leaving for the fun of it. No, they're leaving because they have no choice.
Exactly.
And if you had the option, you would not leave your home.
Yes.
They're leaving because they have no choice.
Yeah.
So that was the point. That was the goal, is always to share, to remind people that they're humans.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I know that, you became a photographer. You was interested in photography when you were in high school.
Yeah.
So what kind of inspired that from the very beginning?
I think it was because I had a class in my film school. I mean, in my high school, honestly. And I always been interested in photography, because I remember looking at magazines and studying the pictures and being interested about, like, why to do it like this and why to do it like that. And I was used to made collages, so that was another reason. But yeah, I think it's because I started to learn in high school, and I had a lot of fun.
Right.
And I learned how to print, and I just started, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So that was a big reason why I did it.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And I think once you had that experience at the border, that showed you where your passion lies, which is telling these true stories of people that are going through, just untenable things in their lives. So I usually just have like an open discussion, but I honestly want to ask you like questions, okay? Because I want to get into that mind, and I want to kind of, get the audience to see, why you are so passionate about what you do, okay?
All right.
So, your work often captures the raw and unfiltered realities of people in vulnerable situations. What draws you to these subjects, and how do you approach photographing them with such compassion? Because it seems like you really do have a heart for it now. Before
Yeah.
it's a job, but now you're doing it for a reason. You want to capture the essence of someone, their feeling, and you want to actually have that translate to the viewer. So tell me about that.
I guess for me personally, I think it's because, I go back to the border, because like the women, everyone was so open to take the photos, and just to have an opportunity to meet these people in this situation, it seemed really important to photograph them. And for me personally, it's just more like I feel like I'm capturing a moment in time. And there's a photographer that I really like. He says that his weapon of choice is his camera. And he always documented the people in the 30s and 40s, how the black people were treated. So I feel like sometimes the only way to understand something is by photographing it.
Yeah.
And there's and I go back to the Thea Lang, which she photographed the Great Depression in the 1930s, and all her pictures were very inspiring to me. So like her work is like something that keeps me. That was the big inspiration for my photo book, was because I watched her work, and I saw her work, and I was like, I want to be able to photograph people who are doing grassroots work every day, and for future generations, their work will benefit them.
Yeah.
And also the stories of these people who are suffering need to be told, because instead of things getting better at the border, sadly, it's getting worse, because everything is about money and politics, sadly. So that's a big reason. It's mostly because instead of things getting better, at the border, it's 10 times worse because of the politics in play.
Yeah, no, well, I understand that you and your mom, as well as our beautiful friend Diane, that introduced me to you, are huge advocates for the underserved, disenfranchised, and those that are struggling. Tell me where your heart for that even came about. I understand you love to tell the story through your camera, but your heart also speaks to that, and you wanting to give back in some capacity.
I think it's because everyone in my family, most of them came through the border. So, and my mom crossed it, and my dad crossed it a different type of way.
Oh, wow.
But I think that's why it is that, like, for example, there are people in my family that were trying to get citizenship, but because they aged out, now they can't get it.
Wow.
So like, I think that's what it is. It's always been a part of me. I always knew about it from a young age, but the difference now is that I'm older, I understand better.
Right.
So it's just something that's always been part of me. And I know I'm not alone. There's many, many kids in this country who have lost their parents because they got deported.
Yeah.
And so I think that's it, because my family I'm first generation, and I
It's
feel
personal for
it's
you.
personal for me, and I'm hoping in my generation that we actually have immigration reform that actually benefits every type of immigrant and refugee that comes into this country, and people learn that they're not stealing jobs.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly, which is the narrative out there,
Yeah.
in politics, and it's
Yes.
ridiculous. It really is. Well,
Yes.
I'm glad that you're standing up for those who came behind you,
Yeah.
and, are that voice for those that can't stand up and speak for themselves for whatever reason, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And a lot of times it's because they're afraid to, you know? And the fact that you and your mom, and as well as Diane, that you speaking for these people and you're making sure that their voices are heard, even just by showing up, I think is amazing. I really, really do. So keep up the good work, girl.
Thank you. And also like working by sharing my story has taught me, like you said, there's a lot of people who live in the shadows and they're too afraid to share their story.
Yes.
So I want to show people that it's okay to be afraid, and when they're ready, we're here for them.
Yeah.
That's also, I also do it for the people that are so scared.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
love
because
that.
there's a lot of people who live in the shadows who are too afraid because they were taught that that's what they have to do in
Yeah.
order to survive.
Yep.
You know, so
No.
I can't blame them. It sucks.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. In the world that we're living in today, you would think that they would be receiving everyone a little better. Is this the land of opportunity? Everyone migrated here from somewhere, you know, for the most part. And so you should receive these people in, and you should realize that not all of us are the same, you know, and that we are hard workers. We do want to contribute to society. So I love that y'all are speaking up for people like that. And just so you know, I don't want to run out of time. So Bobby, I'm going to need the timer out here because I will run past the time, and he's shutting me down way before I want to. But okay, so my next question is, when you're behind the camera, what emotions or thoughts guide you as you seek to capture the essence of a person's struggle? How do you ensure that their story is told truthfully through your lens?
Ooh. Ooh, that's a good question. I personally, is if I see someone who's willing to let me to take their shot, they're already vulnerable enough for them to stand and let me take a picture of them. And sometimes I just take the shot without thinking, and then it just comes. You know, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it just happens that way, and sometimes it depends of like the person. And sometimes I prefer someone's not looking at me because it's more real, it's more honest.
Right.
It's capturing a moment that they're feeling something. And then if someone's like, I took a picture of a woman in Albany in February, and she has her hands up like this, and it was so powerful. And that felt powerful. I was like, cool, we're both sharing. I felt powerful to be able and honored to photograph her. So it depends of the person I'm photographing.
Right.
And so I don't really think about it in the moment. I just think about, this seems interesting, I want to capture it. That's what
Yeah.
usually happens.
I think it's your artistry too.
Thank you.
know, it is. It has to be that you know the right moment, and it doesn't have to be a pose for me type of moment.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of photographers and people think that you need to be still in that moment. I think the action of the moment evokes more. You know, so I'm so glad that you said that. It just kind of happens,
Yeah.
and you feel powerful when you capture that one moment. So that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think some of the best photography is the one that's not planned. And
Yeah.
so there's some photography that's definitely planned that come out beautiful, but most of the times I'm not thinking about it. Not unless it's a photo, like someone hired me to do a photo shoot, then it's a
Then
little
it's
bit
different, yeah.
It's different, but most of the work I'm doing is like event, lobby day events, like you said, or a rally. So I'm really just capturing the action of that day. I'm not really trying to, not unless they want a group shot, but that's it, you know. But other than that, yeah.
Oh man, that's great. Now, in your photography, you aim to evoke compassion and understanding in your audience.
Yeah.
How do you balance showing the harsh realities of life with preserving the dignity and the humanity of your subjects?
Well, the difference is I'm not really showing anyone truly struggling. Like, you know, I try, because there are some, for example, I would never take a picture of a homeless person.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's disrespectful to them. Not unless they're okay with it. But usually I think if they're able for me to photograph them, they want to be seen, they want to be heard.
Right.
So I think there's a shot here in the zine. There is a woman holding a sign in Spanish, and she has a very simple face. She's not smiling, but the way she's holding the sign and the power, I think that gave her joy to be able to capture that. And sometimes and it's better when they're not looking at the camera, because they're not focusing on me.
Right.
I'm focusing on the moment. So my goal is always to show them as humans.
Yes.
And they're doing something that we don't do every day, because we live in society that's we're living in our own bubble. And we have to remember that sadly, instead of things getting easier for people, it's getting harder and harder and harder.
Yeah. Have you ever had a moment while you know, were photographing people that it tugged at your heart, you wanted to cry? Like, how emotional does it actually get for you in certain situations? Because you're not only just taking the photos, you're listening to the messages, you're listening to their stories. How does that work?
I think it goes back when I went to the border and I photographed the 3 Haitian men. That really hit on my heartstrings, because they were coming to this facility where helps them get certification in order to work. Because many people don't know, even though you cross into Mexico, you get stuck in Tijuana.
Wow.
So this is a facility that helps people get certified so they could work. And I remember these 3 Haitian men, and one of them was wearing a Christmas shirt, and it was the middle of summer. And I was just thinking, and when you look at their faces in my book, it's very stern. One's smiling though, but it's very like, you could tell, especially the guy in the middle, that they've been through a lot. Wow. But at the same time, they're not sad, because they got halfway there.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing with, I have a picture of a mother and her son, and she looks pregnant, and she's half smiling, but it's the same thing. I feel like they're just happy that someone sees them.
Yeah.
That's what it is, because that's what I feel, because they're forgotten about.
Yeah.
Because people forget that people forget how many people are stuck at the border.
Oh yeah, no,
you know,
I believe it.
honestly, we could go on forever about that.
Yes.
So I think that's what it is. For me personally, I think sometimes when someone lets me photograph them in the moment, I think they're like, okay, thank you for capturing this time, period.
Yes.
I think that's what it is too. And sometimes I just capture it, you know, it just happens.
No, I think that's fascinating that you said that, because again, their journey was long and arduous and just hard, you know, and for them to finally make it to a certain point where they'll probably see your face, that smiling face, you know, that welcoming, warm face. Yeah, for you to take that picture, it's like, Mom, I made it, you know, like I did it, you know, like it's almost like a sigh of relief, even though they have so many other channels they need to navigate, but at least to them and in their mind, they crossed the hardest one. And you're just showing them or giving them the opportunity to celebrate that in that moment. So I think that's beautiful. So La Murella, that is from the border?
Yeah, all those pictures are
So
from the
let's see, because I know you bought
I brought it with me.
Yes, La Murella. Tell us a little bit more about that, and what I want to do is kind of hold it up to the audience.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So that's the
cover.
And the cover is where it's in Tijuana, Mexico. And then the pictures inside are the ones that are me taking pictures of the border the day I was there, and it was just a one-day trip.
And this was in Mexico, Texas?
No, this was in Tijuana, Mexico.
Tijuana.
So I was in this. I went to San Diego, and so that's literally Tijuana, and all the stuff, because there's still tourists there. There were still tourists there, and I think the most interesting part for me when I went, that session was actually. It's called Friendship Park because it's right between San Diego and Tijuana, and they were praying. They were having a church service that day, and they were praying to the people because there's people on the other side of the United States side that they're together. They have a session online. Yes.
These
So-
are beautiful photos.
Yes, and all 35 millimeter and Polaroids.
Wow.
And there's some shots in there that I let the children play with.
And mind you, families. These
Yeah.
weren't just individuals.
Yeah,
These
they
are
were-
people that were coming in with 4, 5, 6
Yeah.
family members, little kids,
Yeah.
babies. How did that make you feel in that moment? I mean, to see what a lot of us take for granted, you know, the fact that we have a warm bed, we have a roof over our head, we're not standing on a line waiting to be received.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Well, not to sound bad. I mean, I know a lot of women. That I already knew that a lot of people cross the border with their children because they don't have the option. But seeing it in person and seeing the children was very heavy because, like, when I had to leave, I started to cry because I was like, I'm never gonna see these kids again, and they were so happy, like, because, you know, even though they fully don't understand what's going on, they understand parts of it. They understand that something's going on. So it's heavy, and I wish at that moment I could do more for them. And for me personally, what's also no tragic is that how young some of these mothers are. They don't even look like they're 25 yet. But and they have 5 children already. So that was it for me. It was just because you know about it, but then see it in a person, it's
totally different.
It's totally different, and it's heavy, and it was hard not to cry in front of them. But then once you know, the kids are so excited to see someone else other than their parents and themselves, so they were excited. So they were really excited to talk to me and the other people there, and I let them play with my camera, and just for them to have a little bit of joy of that day made me happy.
Yeah.
Because, you know, to live in a tent and wait, and a lot of the times the women can't even work because they have to wait. So they're struggling. So, yeah. So it was
And
hard.
to think that they're vacationing only a stone throw away,
Yes.
you know, not being able to actually see what's going on or even care about what's going on.
Yes.
I think it's a travesty. It really is. But I'm glad that you were able to be there to understand it and to capture it, because that's important as well.
Yeah.
Even if it's just here on Long Island that you're sharing it with, and I'm hoping that that book reaches the masses and that it gets out there so people can see, though those pictures are beautiful, you see the hardship on the people's faces, you know.
Yeah.
You understand by looking at this book the seriousness of this matter and
Yeah.
how we all must in some form or fashion begin to care, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, with the changes that's going on in the world and, you know, the votes that we need to be making, and I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for, but pick someone who cares about what you care about. I'm just going to leave it there and leave it like that, all right?
way to put it.
All right, so the concept of the eye of truth resonates deeply, obviously, in your work.
Yes.
How do you cultivate this perspective, and what role does it play in how you connect with the people you photograph?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's more just to be able to have the opportunity to photograph people is an honor. Because like everyone in in that book, I felt honored to share their story and to photograph them, and to show people how important it is. Like I was in Massachusetts last week, and a woman, she literally started to cry when she looked at my book. She crossed the border.
Wow.
So she remembered how she felt. So, and then she asked me how I felt about it. And doing this work is really an honor and a privilege. And if I would love to go back and continue photographing, and to me it's more about just to be able, like I said, it's just really an honor and a privilege to be able to share these people's stories, because not a lot of people focus on it. It's not as like, it's not cool. You know, like a lot of people I follow on Instagram, they do like these cool moody shoots, and they photograph celebrities, and it would be cool to photograph someone I like, but 100% if I had the option to photograph, to go back to the border or photograph a celebrity, I will go back to the border in a heartbeat. I don't care if I make, you know, it's not about the money for me.
Yeah.
It's really just to be able to have a collection, to be able to show the struggle, and hopefully by the time I'm old, this is like a thing in the past.
Yes.
And we never have to, it never happens again. We have figured out a way that families and other individuals don't have to go through what people are going through now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I mean, the focus and the lens should always be on humanity,
Yes.
you know, and us as a people, and not just in individual sectors and certain, you know, levels of income and hierarchy and power and things of that nature. It should always be on the human spirit, and
Yeah.
that's what I see that you're capturing
Thank you.
in your photos, and that is going to be a thing soon, my friend.
Thank
It is.
you.
I mean, you're right. Right now, Instagram, social media is just all about the pretty and the beauty in the world,
Yeah.
and you could still find beauty in these stories and these people
Yeah.
who are struggling and who are looking for a better life. You could still find beauty in that if you was just to put yourself in their place for one moment.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you're capturing that and that you're telling these stories so that they will last a lifetime. And
Yeah.
as you mentioned, I'm also hoping that by the time you are old and gray, that this will be a thing of the past,
Yes.
and this will be in like a museum or art show or something, and they're celebrating you for the tireless work that you put in to shine the light on these people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These very people that we live next door to, these very people that we work with, these very people that our children go to school with, these very people that we need to receive and respect and honor and celebrate the way we celebrate the entertainers, the models, the music people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love that you're doing that. I really do. So in the eye of truth, and what you do and how passionate you are about it, what does that mean to you? Spreading, sharing, showing the world the eye of your truth.
To me, it just be able, I guess for me personally, like when people tell me that my work speaks to them, and that makes me feel happy because I'm not trying to become famous off my work. I just want to be able to continue to photograph people who are doing the grassroots work and
Yes.
doing this work because, like I said earlier, I believe what they're doing is 10 times more important than what Kim Kardashian's doing.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and their work will benefit, generations to come, and to be able to do it full time is my goal. I want to be able to photograph. I have so many more ideas. I want to focus on sex workers because I feel like they get the short end of the stick. People don't respect them. They think like they're just. I could go on forever about how they don't get respected. And then I would love to do a series on farm workers because sadly it's the same nonsense. They've been
Yes.
no benefits for decades, and continue my photographing the border, continue photographing this stuff in the underbridgement program, and just continue photographing what's going on in the community. Like, you know, we have the trans ban now, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. And so like I just want to continue focusing on stories of people that people judge because of what they have done. Like people who are
Yes.
recently incarcerated, I would love to do a whole series on those people.
Yeah.
Because yes, they might have did something wrong, but a lot of people who are stuck in jail have done something minimal compared to people who are not in jail.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because you're so right. Because you know, photography can be a powerful tool for social change.
Yeah.
And clearly that's what you're using it for right now. How do you see your work contributing to a broader conversation about the issues faced by the people you photograph, such as the migrants and the homeless and the sex traffickers and things like that?
Yeah.
How do you see it contributing, and how do you want it to resonate with others?
To be able to start a conversation to say, we need to change this. But it's very disgusting that we're still talking about immigration, and instead of the migrant crisis getting better and the refugee crisis getting better, once again it's getting worse, and families are suffering, children are suffering, and people are dying crossing the border. If you research how many people die crossing the border, you will start crying. It's
Yeah.
it's not even a joke, and it's been like that since the early 90s, because once they start building the border. So I think for me, I just want people to start talking about it, start figuring out a way to fix it. And my goal is just to keep pushing people and be like, fix this, you know. So that's my goal for my work. I just want to start a conversation, and then when people look at my work, they're like, oh, this is going on in my world.
Yeah.
Maybe I should look into this. How can I
Yes.
help? Even if they just like support a cause and they sign a petition or they go to one rally,
Yeah.
at least I did something.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Get involved.
Yeah,
You
at
know what I
least,
mean?
you know,
Stop
like-
listening to the sound bites on TV and the people are being all negative and everybody's a killer, a rapist, and is going to take over your jobs. Like, listen to the real stories of these
Yeah.
people that are making these treks, because that's what's important to note as well.
Yeah.
We see the news and we just see the chaos that goes on. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Instead of seeing the humanity behind it, the reason why these people are taking a chance to even make the trip in the first place.
Yeah.
And then once they finally get here, how are we much better than where they came from if we're not giving them the help and even the ear to hear
Yeah.
what their plight is, what their struggles were, and how we can actually help them. Again, as I mentioned, this is a melting pot, you know what I mean? Everyone has come here from somewhere. So it's just a matter of, to me, honestly, it's just building a better system. I think the systems are broken. I think that the procedures are backwards, and I think that we just need to find a better way to do it, but not, keep people from seeking us as a refuge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I totally get what you're saying. Well, what do you hope people feel or understand when they see your photographs? Is there a particular message or emotion you strive to convey through your images?
I guess I just want people to feel what the person felt in the moment I was capturing it, and I hope they feel a certain way, either if it's joy, sadness, or feeling something new, like, oh, this is someone is struggling. And also maybe they realize, like, they take a second to realize, even though they're struggling, their life is not as difficult as they have it.
Yeah.
And their difficulties is nothing compared to someone who's in my book. And yeah, I think that's what I want. I just want someone to feel not so much about them, but think about the person in the image first.
Feel selfless.
Feel selfless for a second. I know it's hard.
Yeah.
I know it's hard. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm
It's
not.
hard. Well, girl, you're our unity. We're trying to sell a dream, girl.
Yes.
We want everybody to have unity, peace, and love
Yes.
in their heart. And we do that by what we say, what we do, the stories that I share. You're doing it through a lens through photography. You want people to sort of feel that peace that everyone is looking for, that
Yes.
unity that we all deserve, and that love that we should all be giving others. And I think it can be had and it can be achieved if all of these outlets are doing it at the same time.
Yeah.
You don't just speak it and say it, you do something about it. You put action behind it, and also you share it with others. You don't just let it be a quick 5-second story on the news. You actually show it and you capture it and you give it a life through the photos. You know what I mean? And I think that's very, very important. And I love that you're doing that. I really do. And if you want to be part of being that peace-filled, unified, and loving person, you follow this young lady, and also you become part of the You're Our Unity community, because that's what we're all about building, is peacemakers and change makers and people who want to contribute to the betterment of this world. It can be done if we just let everybody's story be told, and you understand that your life is not the only life that matters in this world, you know? So your journey as a photographer has evolved over time.
Yeah.
Especially after your border tour
Yeah.
in 2022. So how has your understanding of the human experience deepened through your work, and how has that influenced your artistic vision?
I think becoming less selfless, because before in the past, I definitely focus on more shoots doing like I had I had more ideas about doing like horror shoots, neon shoots, like more like, I guess, what Instagram is doing now. And then once I came back and working with Jobs for Justice, I realized that I was like, wait, that's not what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to photograph people doing the work, and I think that's what's different. And then also, it's a part of me too. Like, I want to be able to help and share my story. And in the conference I was last week, I realized that, like, I'm not going to my work is going to be through my camera.
Yeah.
My work is that's my goal. Like, I want to be able to share women's stories and people doing the work through my camera, because there's many people in the world who are doing amazing things every day, and they're not getting honored, or they don't care about getting honored, they're just doing it.
Yeah.
And, so yeah, I think that's personally for me. I still want to do that stuff on the side, but that's more personal. Like now I realize that it's like that's for personal reasons. But my goal is social justice, to share people's story and their work. And I hope that I have the projects that I was talking about, I get to do them. That's the dream.
I love that. I love that. You mentioned Jobs for Justice.
Yes.
Tell us a little about that organization and how you began working with them.
Well, I started working with Jobs for Justice last year because Diane Canto called me to share my story as a freelance worker, as a freelance photographer, and for the unabridged program, which you spoke about earlier. And personally, I didn't feel like I really had anything to share, because I felt like I really wasn't a freelance photographer, because I worked minimum wage jobs in order to support myself for a while. But working with Diane and Ari, and working with people who are other workers, who are cash workers, it empowered me and helped me let go of these terrible experiences that I had in work environments, and learning that what happened to me happens to a lot of people, sadly.
Yes.
So it empowered me and made me know about my rights as a worker, and I have a voice and I could share my story. And like I said earlier, that's the biggest reason, because sometimes I also share it to all my past workers who are kind of still stuck in that environment. And even if they don't hear me, sometimes I do it for them, because I'm just going to say I experienced some stuff that I wish I didn't experience in my lifetime because of crappy jobs, crappy bosses, excuse me. So that's why, and I'm 100% grateful for Jobs for Justice, because they helped me print the zine this time around. And they're always they're like my small cheerleaders that I didn't know I needed, but they're there for me. And I'm so grateful for them. And I'm grateful, and I'm also grateful for my mom, because without my mom, I wouldn't know Diane, because it's like a small circle because they know each other. And then Diane got this beautiful job in Jobs for Justice, and then she asked me to share my story. And now I'm actually more a freelance photographer, because I have gotten more work. But
I love it.
But I also do it for people like other freelancers that actually do get screwed over and don't get paid their rates, because people want to just pay them cheaply.
And that goes for a lot of the people that you guys advocate for.
Yeah.
They have these jobs, and God forbid they get sick, or a family member, or they don't have insurance, they don't have the proper coverage, they don't go to work, they don't get paid. So we need people to stand up for them, and that is basically what Jobs for Justice does. I love that. I love that. Well, you mentioned that your book, A Zine for a Cause, began through this connection. Tell us a little about what that is, and then I want to show the guys a quick video of your work. So tell us what Zine for a Cause is.
So the Zine for a Cause is been capturing 2 years of going to Lobby Day in upstate New York and Albany, and events through the unabridged program. So the goal was that I just wanted to find a way to help people understand the bill, and more people learn about the bill. And then if they know someone who could be affected by it or who could help them, the goal was just realistically to get more people involved, because, that was the goal of the zine, really, was just to help. I wanted to say, how can I help them get more people? And I really liked the work. And then also when I did my first book, I realized, like, wait, I could do another one. Because I did
let me do it.
So I learned how to do that by myself.
Right.
I took a class online, but that's a basic reason why I did it. So, and then when I showed everyone the zine, everyone was like, oh my God, you really captured this moment in time. And I didn't realize that. It was, once again, when I photograph, I'm just photographing.
Right.
And I'm just hoping to capture this moment. So, but that made me feel better. And Diane recently told me that someone bought the zine and said it was 10 times easier for him to understand and explain to someone. And I was like, yes, that was the point of it. That was the whole plan.
Yeah.
So, because sometimes it's too wordy for people. You need to simplify it. So that was the goal. So showing people who are protesting and who will benefit from it and sharing, I think that's what helps it, because I humanized it.
Yes.
So that was the goal. So yeah, I'm happy and hoping that I could print some more and do some more down the road.
No, you definitely will, my friend. So we want to show you a quick video of A Zine for a Cause. love it.
Thank you.
I love it. It was captivating. It was engaging. It was powerful.
Thank you.
It was all those things. And you guys, once I give her information, her Instagram and her email, I need you to contact her so that you can get a copy of Zine. A cause. What?
A zine
For a cause.
yes.
I love it. I love it. Well, I have one last question for you, my friend. So just tell me, in capturing the truth of one's life struggle, what have you learned about resilience, hope, and the human spirit? And how do these lessons shape your work and your own life?
That rest is important. Rest is important. And even if you don't have the confidence to share your story, or you feel like, you notice a lot of the signs are in Spanish, these women still, even though they don't speak the language, they're still sharing their struggle by making these signs, taking the time out of the day to go protest their rights. So for me personally, it's more about how strong women are. You know, we already knew that because we could carry a baby. But in general, just to realize that how I feel, also meeting other photographers has really helped me. Learning that, like, we all have that imposter syndrome feeling. Sometimes we don't feel like we belong, and sometimes we feel like we're going nowhere. That has helped me out a lot. Actually, just talking to other photographers and someone who even if we don't do the same type of work, it makes me feel so much better talking to photographers especially film photographers, doing that. And also sometimes just watching Diane and my mom. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes just seeing them doing their work and seeing my mom make those calls and how she talks to her members and how much she's been through, and that also helps me out a lot, honestly, because I have very strong influence. And then see Diane, even though she doesn't speak the language, she still figures out a way to help these people. And she gets out a Google Translator, and that's powerful. You know, she doesn't let anything stop her. And so that's another thing, like, you know, you figure out a way to help people. And also just seeing the women, like I said, just have their signs in a different language. They're still showing, and it shows me that everything I feel is okay. And also sometimes rest is important. I say that because I think we live in society, we have to do everything all at once. And I'm just going to let you know, it took me like 6 months to make this scene. So it takes time, and it's okay.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. So
I love it.
My one advice is don't, if you feel like you're not creative, take a break, because then it just turns out terrible. That's what I do.
Oh my God. Well, I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for sharing your stories, sharing the stories of those that need to be heard, that we need to pay attention to, that we need to focus on. It is a blessing and an honor to have you here with me today, Julie. So just know that I am so happy, and I want you guys to go out there seriously, and we're going to put up your information. You're going to follow her on Instagram at Obey35mm. I heard that girl. She said Obey 35mm, because that's the way you communicate and see the eye of truth. And you can also email her at floresjulie25@gmail.com. You are a wonderful, amazing, and powerful young lady. I want you to take this art, this gift that you've been given, and I want you to share it with the masses. I want you to show the light of life through your lens. And you clearly you are doing it, but I want it to be on a so much bigger and broader stage, especially now in this political season. I think that we need to highlight these stories more than ever, okay?
And I just wanted to say, for my Instagram name, I actually did it after an artist that I like, because he named it after something he liked. So it was actually an homage to Obey. He's a graffiti artist. He's very big. So he sent a portrait of Obama.
Oh, nice.
So
all right. So there was a reason behind that tag. I hear that.
Because because Obey is like one of my biggest. I love his work. So it was really for that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. And we're going to get real quick to the Dare to Be You. and it is. The eye of truth sees beyond the surface, capturing the raw essence of humanity in its most vulnerable moments. It is not just a lens that documents, but a heart that understands, a voice that speaks for the unseen, and a mirror that affects the soul of the struggle with honesty and compassion. So let us all together embrace the eye of truth, see the world through the lens of empathy, and capture the reality of those who are often overlooked. Use your voice, use your art and your actions to bring light to the struggles of others, and together let's turn awareness into action and compassion into change. And that's what I suggest that we all go out there and do today, not tomorrow, not yesterday, I mean today. I want you guys to go out there and I want you to shine the light on others. Look deeply into others. Go beyond the surface. Try to understand the life of others. Try to get a connection with those in your community that may not look like you, speak like you, or act like you, but get an understanding of why they are who they are, and fight for what they believe in as you so dearly fight for the things that you believe in. I want to thank you guys again for tuning in to another amazing episode of Our Unity. I want to thank my amazing guest, Julie Flores, who's going to be the photographer to the stars, shining the light on humanity. Let everyone see that we all just want to live in harmony.
Yes.
We all want to be able to live in peace, and that we all just want to be able to love on one another and not have any injustices within our community. So we hope that you can become part of that change that we so desperately are needing and that we are seeking through the eye of truth. I want to thank you again for tuning in to an amazing episode. I want you guys to have a wonderful evening, and please remember that peace and love is in the palm of our hands. So let's go out there and be some love, give some love, and share some love. We will see you next week here on Our Unity. I want you to have a fabulous night, and I want you to tell me all about what you're doing to view the world through the eye of truth. Have a wonderful evening, and we love you. Good night.
Good night.